Hello comic book fans and Star Trek fans, and here at long last, as promised, is my video review of Star Trek Year 5. We're going to kick off obviously with issue 1. I have the other 5 issues, so I'm up to issue 6 so far. I will be getting to those in due course, but I thought it was finally time to get started on Star Trek Year 5. Really enjoying this series. I will spoil that right now. It's very, very different from Transformers A Bold New Era. I'm very pleased to say that too. The whole story, the whole premise is very much Star Trek rather than Transformers, but there are a lot of benefits to the Star Trek comic series compared to Transformers, and you can see initially, straight away from the front cover, it's the use of colour. I really enjoy the likenesses on the front cover here. Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Sulu, Chekhov and Uhura. If this is meant to be Scotty, then we have a problem, because Scotty never had blonde hair like that. Let's just take a quick look and let's get that focused, because if that is Scotty, then we do, as I said, it's way off. This guy's got blonde hair and it's probably just a private red shirt, but you never know. I'll dig straight in and get straight on with the actual review. It's set at the end of the Enterprise's 5-year mission. Captain's log, final entry. There's a very interesting setup in that Captain Kirk has a gun to his head, as you can see here at the bottom. Her 5-year mission was to seek out strange new worlds, new life, new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before. And so we go back to before, this cliffhanger, Kirk with the gun to his head, the ship's about to be destroyed. It's one page, gloss over very quickly, and the rest of this particular issue is told in retrospect around the Enterprise's previous missions, which sets us up nicely. The Enterprise approaching a hypermassive star, or a pair of stars in this case, that are merging, going to become extremely heavy, likely to implode on themselves and cause a huge kind of hypernova that would destroy all life within, let's get this right, 10,000 light years. So it's only small fry, it's not serious. There's a lot of explanation here around this device that the Federation has produced called the Ouroboros device. It takes surplus mass and energy from the sort of pair of stars and channels it into an endless wormhole, so that it's constantly siphoned off from the two stars to prevent it from going nova. If you thought that was a lot of explanation, here is an entire page of text from Mr. Spock, basically mansplaining. It's called that beautifully. I think the writers are fully aware of what they're doing. You see all this text and speech going on from Spock, and Chekhov says that was a very long walk to get down a very short pier. Sums it up. It's Spock, Pavel. If you want brevity, talk to a Klingon. So there's this really nice humorous side to the conversation. You know, it's exactly in keeping with the tone of the original television series, and there's a lot of that. It's really written in accordance with that tone. They're not changing the characters. It's very much an original series episode. It just transferred to the page. They carry on. Maximum impulse, Mr. Sulu. Let's be pioneers. Lovely likeness of Captain Kirk. And sure enough, we gloss over it. Captain's log, an entire page of Captain's log. It was a resounding success. Well done, everybody. Congratulations. And deep in my soul, I know the next time we celebrate a day like today, we'll be home. So Kirk's in his quarters, or in the ready room, I'm not sure which. Apologies for not knowing the difference. And McCoy turns up and says, "Hey, Kirk, here we are, you're staring at the stars and you're clutching that data pad like it killed your father. Consider my offer of prescription." So he's brought some brandy. And there's this silent moment as Kirk takes a drink, and McCoy says, "What's on that data pad?" And the reply is Admiral Kirk. Admiral Kirk, and McCoy is obviously delighted. Congratulations to Jim for getting a promotion. But Jim then goes off into this little monologue. There's a lot of it, but it's, as I said, it's still in keeping with the original series. And I'll summarise, but Kirk talks about the old writers, people like Homer who wrote the Odyssey. And there was always these descriptions of the main characters: Zeus, who loves the lightning; Aeneas, the long-haired Achaean; Odysseus, experienced in loss. Homer, as he was reciting his poetry, since it wasn't written down, was just buying time to remember the next line. But those titles went with the name. So you had Zeus, who loves the lightning, and it always came out like that. And it's, Kirk says, Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. And that's become his identity, and he's concerned. I just don't know who I am if I'm not Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise. It's a really good introspective review there. Kirk gets a promotion that he's not sure he wants. It ties in nicely with what happens in the movies about getting his promotion and then kind of losing his way a little, and then getting demoted back again and being a success. Anyway, there's various issues on the ship. They receive a Tholian distress call, so they go to Lloyd Zeta 9, Sulu plots a course, and off they go. Warp 7. This is Lloyd Zeta 9, which is just a barren battleground. No survivors. They're trying to search for life forms. But the problem is that Tholians don't register as standard life forms, as lovely tie-in throughout with the original series episodes about the Tholians. McCoy gets to say the classic, I'm a doctor, not a geologist. There we are. So yeah, they really, it's not contrived, it's just the way it is. They are trying to find Tholian life forms on this battleground. Seemingly unsuccessful. We are too late, says Spock. Sums it up. The temperature of this Tholian skull, helmet, whichever it may be, is absolute zero. The physicists amongst us say that's not possible, but it's extremely cold. It's super cold. If it was absolute zero, then the things around it would also start freezing, and it would also start warming up the mask itself. So there you go. But there's kind of playing fast and loose with science, pretty much in keeping with the original series, as I said. But suddenly they discover that there is a survivor. The red shirts line up, guns in hand, start shooting. Tholian says something, but can't tell what it is. Obviously it's in Tholian. They shoot, no effect. Kirk hits it, Spock actually hits it, punches it with a crack, and then Kirk fires a modified phaser rifle. As he said, this was easier on Cestus 3. Quick throwback to the original series episode. There we go. While you hear that, Jim, you're not unimpressive. James T. Kirk, Admiral, gives his personal log update. There's another Tholian ship that's come to respond to this distress call. And we get, as we go through, you can see there's a lot of plot that's being covered. It's going through at a phenomenal pace. In contrast with the Transformers, where it was very slow, and we find that actually there is one more to beam up, as Kirk puts it. So really nicely written. There's a lot going on here, and I'm really hopeful and optimistic about the entire series. Like I said, the artwork's nice, lovely use of bold colours. It's a pleasure to look at, as well as read and absorb the story. But it's just nice to flick through the pictures if you don't want to read the story as well. It is good. Next month, as it was coming out monthly, or as it is coming out monthly, issue 2 brings us the Tholian, possibly a Tholian web as well. Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And I really like this sort of interview, an additional material. So this is Chase Marott, who's the editor. Welcome to Open Channels is what they're calling the additional material. In this case, an interview with artist J.J. Lendl. So Lendl talks about his relationship with the story, the characters, and as it says, your work has a great poster style feel to it. So it does. I would concur with that completely. And then who would he join from which of the Star Trek crews? So he answers each of these questions, some nice little pictures in. Then the art by Greg Hildebrandt, as featured on the front cover, the original sketch, which in this case actually does look more to me like Scotty. It got lost somewhere in translation, but it's shorter, stockier, darker hair. That is definitely Scotty. This guy over here in the blonde definitely isn't. Then the alternate issues, the alternate covers, sorry, so this was the convention edition, and art by J.J. Lendl, who we just saw being interviewed in the previous pages. So, all in all, really pleased with Star Trek Year 5 Issue 1. I'll be reviewing Issue 2 shortly. Just want to mention as well that there is a Star Trek Voyager alternate universe one-shot coming up called Mirrors and Smoke. It's a one-shot due out sometime in October. I'm not entirely sure when. I spoke to Forbidden Planet, my local comic book store. They said it was coming out towards the end of the month. I had originally anticipated it being at the start, but one way or the other. I'll get to that. I'm going to have that on my subscription list. There's a promotion here for the Q conflict. I really couldn't say more about that. And then there's an iPad app on the Star Trek graphic novels and so on. If you don't like having paper books like I do, and you're all very modern and go for that, I personally prefer having the issues in print. That's just me. So, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do like, comment, subscribe and all that stuff. Until next time, when I'll have another comic book review, live long and prosper.